Last time we took a look at Abraham and Sarah, the original parents of the Judeo-Christian tradition. I want to read a little bit from the continuing story of their family, this time their grandson, Jacob. Jacob had made a deal with his future father-in-law, Laban, that he would work for Laban for 7 years and then be given Rachel, Laban's daughter, who he was very attracted to and wanted as his wife, as a reward for 7 years of labor. This is a theme we've seen before, that women can be given away, that they can be owned. But listen to what happens to poor Jacob. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife that I may go in to her, for my time is completed," 7 years. So Laban gathered together all the people of the place, and he made a feast. But in the evening he took his daughter Leah, that's Rachel's older sister. He took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob and went into her. When morning came, Jacob saw that it was Leah, and he said to Laban, "What is this that you've done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel?" Well, Laban goes on to say it's not his custom to marry off the younger daughter first. However, work another 7 years and you can have Rachel as well. So Laban and Jacob collude together to work a total of 14 years in order for Jacob to marry both of Laban's daughters, who he gives away as property. There's a lot of conversation about biblical marriage and how we need to stand up for biblical marriage. I don't think, though, that Rachel and Jacob and Leah are the model of marriage that we think about. We're not thinking about ownership. We're not thinking about women as being able to be bought and sold like cattle, which is what's happening here. Now, this doesn't end with Abraham and his children and his grandchildren. The history in Israel builds on this until we see kings like King David having maybe hundreds of wives. King Solomon, in fact, it says later in the book of Kings, had 700 wives and 300 concubines, an immeasurable number of women. These were not people who he was in love with. These were people he was using as foreign policy. Solomon attracted wives, bought wives, got wives from other kingdoms in order to create peace with the neighboring kingdoms around him. Again, the women were objects, this time for the purpose of foreign policy, for the purpose of creating international peace. But I don't think that the way that King David and the way that King Solomon used women, bought women, married women, took women as concubines, I don't think is what we mean when we say we support something like a traditional biblical marriage. In Minnesota, we're looking at marriage again. People are saying we should have an amendment to the Constitution, an amendment that forbids gay and lesbian people to be married. And the opposition, the people who are promoting this amendment are often saying, we need a more traditional view of marriage. But what tradition are they thinking of? What tradition are they imagining when they say we need a more traditional view? If they mean one man and one woman, that's difficult to find in the scripture. Certainly it's difficult to find in the heroes of the Old Testament, Abraham and Sarah, Jacob and Leah and Rachel, and King David and King Solomon, all of whom practiced marriage as polygamy, or at least bigamy. People who use marriage for things completely different from what we expect in our modern marriages. We expect in our marriages that there will be something like love. We expect in our modern marriages that there will be something like mutuality, about creating a life together. That's what my wife and I think about when we think about our marriage. We make plans for our future. We plan holidays together and vacations together. It's not about how we use one another as property. Our marriage is very different from the marriages that you find in the scriptures. And if you're married, I would guess that yours is too. Let's be wary of people who suggest that Minnesota's amendment to the Constitution has something to do with biblical marriage. It does not. We all need to vote no in November on the marriage amendment that's being proposed.